Hi, Shubra, and welcome to this show. This is a series of conversations where we get women achievers who we call women trailblazers to share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their
Thank you so much.
successes. You're so most welcome. So, we want them to talk about their journey, the successes, challenges, ups and downs, so that other women who are listening in can also get inspired and motivated to get out of whatever is holding them back from realizing their potential, because that a lot of women have dreams, aspirations, but there's something or the other which holds them back, so we want them to get out of that. And eventually we want to build a community of women who are there to support, empower, and be there for each other. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very excited to be part of this, and I hope I'm able to add some value to some people. Really, really excited. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure you will be able to. All right. So to set the ball rolling, tell us a little bit about your childhood, early life, and how you think those influences, they shaped your life to become, what you are today.
I come from a Kannadiga family from the south.
Okay.
My mom was in bank, dad was running his business. I was born in Hyderabad. I moved to Bangalore at a quite an early age. I was here by the time I was 8, and I've been a Bangalorean since forever. I went on to do my Bachelor of Arts after I finished my second PUC, which is 12th equivalent,
Okay.
which also I did in arts. And I majored in psychology, sociology, and literature. Post that, so after that, I did my MBA in international marketing, and
Okay.
that was that. As a child, I used to be a very, very enthusiastic kid. Anything outdoors, I was always the first one to raise my hand. By the time the teacher would ask, who would like to? And I'm usually the first one to raise my hand. And as a result of that, I'm trained in a classical form of dance in the South called Yakshagana.
Okay.
I'm a classical, Carnatic classical vocalist. I'm doing my Vidvat, which is the professional level of vocals in Carnatic classical.
Wow.
I have learned skating. I am a national level. I've won a couple of national gold medals at the national level in karate.
Okay.
I was part of NCC in my college, and I represented Karnataka and Goa in the Republic Day camp in 2006, where I stood guard of honor for a few delegates. It's been an adventurous life, and I think when I was in my masters, the motorcycling bug caught me.
Okay.
And then that's been a new passion, which is one of the few passions that I currently still follow.
Okay.
That and music. So it's been an exciting childhood that I've had.
So anything that stands out in particular, which has, from your childhood, which makes you, want to try new things and go for new things? Because a lot of people, just like to play by the book and just, follow a few straight things in life, if I may say, but you have such diversified interests. So was there anything, the way you were brought up, the way you were raised, which led you into being the kind of person you are today?
I think it would be my family. My father's been one of my biggest, cheerleader. I'll tell you a story about something that happened when we were in school. In every parents teachers meeting, they would ask our parents to come. My father would come to the school, and the only complaint that the teachers ever had was that she's extremely talkative. Like, we change her place, we put her next to a really silent and good child, and she ends up talking to them, and the next thing we know, both of them are chatting away. So my father would come to the to the parents teachers meeting, and he would have arguments with the teacher about, maybe she'll become a lawyer, maybe she'll become how can you curtail her from talking? That could be a profession that she might choose and everything. So he was like that. So it came to a point where the teachers eventually said that, it's not a parents teachers meeting, it's a parents mothers meeting. So they banned my father from so I've had a very supportive family. Whatever I wanted to pursue, they sent me for all sorts of coaching classes, anything, and I would be interested in new things every day. And I've trained in badminton, skating, basketball, gymnastics, athletics, long jump, and for like 1 month, 2 months, sort of tried my hand at everything. And I've never, I think, heard them say, do something for longer. Like, I would change and they were okay with that. So I think that's where it comes from. They were okay with me being myself and trying and figuring out what I truly love eventually.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that is what it
So
is.
I
Oh,
think,
your
yeah,
parents, to begin with, give you that support, that supportive net which
correct.
allows you to go and explore, discover. I think that's so very essential.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, you had so many varied interests, and of course, you were, kind of, you could go and try out everything. So, were there any aspirations or dreams as a child? I mean, you thought that, okay, when I grow up, I want to become this or I want to become that. Did you have anything like that?
Yeah, I think considering so many extracurricular activities that I would be part of, I think one thing that was always there with me was, I would want to excel and top it at everything that I did. Like from the time I was a child, like, so it would change depending on how my hobbies were changing, right?
Okay.
So I when I started practicing karate, I wanted to go to the world championships, and
Wow.
that's all I wanted to be. Then I joined NCC. I wanted to join the army. So it kind of changed very consistently during my childhood. But as I grew, as I grew older, and I started to narrow down on what direction I wanted to sort of take, I
Hmm.
think the one consistent thing has been that, I get into something. I mean, all those experiences firstly allowed me to think that I could do anything. Like, I didn't have to. I was not ever forced to be conventional or follow a certain pre-decided path that everybody should ideally, follow as such. So I
Hmm.
was not. I think I was not bound by that. Like I was not asked by my parents to sit for interviews and just take a job and be secure. And those were not the conversations. So maybe, as a result, I started a business of my own, which was into making chocolates when I was 18, I think. When I
Wow.
was 18. And I finished my college. By the time I finished my college, I had a fully functional business, which was already profitable. And I finished my
Hmm.
MBA and continued with that. And for a long time, I thought that that's what I love and everything. But I think somewhere in my 20s, I realized that, I loved creating things. I like to bring processes. Love bringing things to life and solving problems,
Hmm.
but not necessarily just in chocolates.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I think what I'm doing currently professionally is not, necessarily all the things that I dreamed of
Hmm.
as such, as a profession, so to speak. But it is in the sense that I'm solving a larger problem. I'm very passionate about it, and I want to excel at it. That's been the consistency for me, I
That's
think.
what it is. You tried out various
Yeah.
things, and because you had the freedom to
Yeah.
explore, I think that is what is
Correct.
essential. A lot of us just end up doing what we are told without ever being given the opportunity to explore and discover, which I think in
Correct.
your case you were able to. And then, yes, finally, I think there's certain common things which emerge out of all the things that you do. And like you said, consistency and wanting to excel. So that's where you are then.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very
Yeah.
lucky to be able to live that way.
I agree. I agree. So,
Yeah.
tell us about your love for motorcycling and how it inspired you to start traveling circus. And so, any experiences or insights that you would have gained from, organizing these motorcycle tours?
Yeah, the love for motorcycles actually started really early. My father was a motorbiker,
Okay.
and he was in a sales job, which allowed him to travel across the south of India on a bullet back in the 70s, 80s. And after we were born, also, we used to do road trips every year with the family, sometimes by car, sometimes by bikes. And
Hmm.
then it had kind of gone away. And in 2010, for my birthday, my brother gifted me a bullet,
Okay.
and my then boyfriend, now husband, also had a bullet, and we decided, let's do Ladakh, because you get a bullet, what do? You go to Ladakh. So uh,
Okay.
it was just what started out as a my whole family went, like my father, mother, my brother, sister-in-law, and I and my boyfriend. We were planning to ride down, and as word spread, we got so many more friends who said, I'd like to join, I'd like to join. And in a matter of 1 month, from just a family of 5 that was supposed to go on motorbikes to Ladakh, it became a bunch of 16 people, which eventually went on that trip.
Okay.
And that was my, I just finished my MBA, and I think I put all my all the things that I learned during my MBA into practice there, and did a beautiful plan, and there were folders given to everyone. It was very, very organized for a
Okay.
22-year-old, and I think everybody had a great time. And that was that. I continued to ride a bit after that here and there, with my father and my husband being my constant companions on all my trips.
Okay.
And a few years down the line, I was still in the chocolate business, and I did another motorcycle trip, which again attracted about 12 friends who said that, oh, if you're going, I'm coming. And because of this was at a time when women motorcyclists weren't very often, and the ones who were there weren't traveling so often all across the country. So it kind of inspired a few other women to as well get into motorbiking, and they said, okay, if she can, maybe we can too. So more women started to come on my motorbike travels with their friends and stuff. Great. And then I thought, okay, it's perfect. I think I'm great at this. This is what I'm passionate about. It checks all the boxes. I should get into the business of organizing motorcycle tours. Okay. So that's how it came about. I started that in 2015. And I ran that for about 2.5 years, during which time I think I must have been on the road for about 500 days. Wow. And I did, fairly well. I traveled extensively in a lot of exotic places, but I had a little bit of a travel fatigue at that point, and things weren't going as well as I would have liked them to. Mm-hmm. And I decided to wind up and try my hand at something new. Okay. And that's when I joined Offleads. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But great. I mean, motorcycling, yes, and women, it is still, I mean, I don't think it is as common as, other things, but yeah, great. So it's that adventurous streak of yours, right? Which brought you into doing this. All right. So now you are part of the corporate gifting industry. Am I right? Yeah. And you have an organization called officeneeds.com, where you're the chief operating officer. So what exactly do you do as part of the business, and how are you different from any other company that could be part of that industry?
So Offleads is one of the largest corporate gifting companies in the country. Okay. It was started by my brother and another partner about 18 years ago. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I joined about 6 years back as as someone who had my business had gone kaput or gone south with the traveling circus. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't doing very well. I had gained enormous amounts of debt in that, and I saw I didn't see myself being able to repay that in the near future. It was like the lowest time for me, and that's when I came and joined Offleads. And I joined as a employee. I did not join as a partner or anything. I had to work my way up, and I joined with the intention of expanding our franchise route in the business that we were looking to take. We have a couple of franchises working now, post which I worked heading sales in Bangalore. Okay. And about 1.5 years ago is when I became one of the directors, and I handle everything to do with operations. So my partner, who is also my elder brother, he brings in the top line, and I ensure a healthy bottom line, to put it very briefly. That's what I do.
Okay. So is there anything different from the others, or like it's just that you've been able to put it together in a much better way?
So corporate gifting business is a very, very unorganized business in India. You'll find one corporate gifting company probably on 10 in a street sort of business. It's a very easy business to enter, mm-hmm. but it's a very difficult business to scale. With us having been in business for the last 18 years, we've been able to use technology to a very large extent. We're actually on the verge of creating something spectacular, a portal for people to be able to, for HRs and organizations to be able to buy corporate gifts in a much more methodical manner, and irrespective of their size, which has no minimum order quantities, and for people from across the country. So I think we're one of the only organized players in the corporate gifting business in the country, and we operate in Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Mumbai at present. What differentiates us would be that customization is a really big aspect in corporate gifts, right? Most people don't buy corporate gifts for the product itself, but for what that product becomes once they have their logo or their branding on that product. Yeah. It gives tangibility to a sense of who I am and what I stand for. Like I'm wearing an Offi Needs t-shirt today, and the minute I'm wearing that, this is not just a t-shirt, it's an Offi Needs
Yes.
T-shirt, right? So customization is a really important aspect in our business, and we're one of the only people in India who have all customization in-house. Last year, we created a 20,000 square feet state-of-the-art operation center here in Bangalore, where we have all sorts of customization in-house, which is DTF, UV printing, screen print, embroidery, metal marking, engraving. Everything is in-house for us, which gives us immense control over quality as well as creativity and speed, which are like the three most important things in our business.
Yes, yes. Quality, I think, is of course something that you cannot ignore. So any
Absolutely.
achievements of Offi Needs? I mean, what is it that in ever since you've kind of set it up till now, any particular thing, any achievements or successes that you would like to mention?
Yeah, quite a few. One really big thing that I would be proud of is when the pandemic hit in 2020, right? And that there was a lockdown announced across the country. We were, I mean, gifting was stopped overnight. Like, all corporates had other priorities, their employees' health and their wellness what was more important for people. And corporate gifting business stopped overnight. And we had been in a place long ago where, because of some bad decisions in the business, we had almost filed bankruptcy and had to, let go of about 80% of our team overnight. During this time, my brother and I decided that, we were not going to do any of that. And we immediately, during the lockdown, we pivoted and created another line of business called the home office, where we create, it's a e-commerce website which enables people to be able to work from home more effectively. So it offers a lot of work from home products to be able to work more efficiently from home. So we pivoted to that, and we managed to do a lot of B2B orders to the same set of customers to who we were doing corporate gifting before. We were able to, help them during this phase by, providing home delivery to their employees with the kind of whatever choice of furniture, chairs, ergonomic products, headphones, noise cancellation devices, and everything across India. And we managed to sustain, and proudly we, kind of after this pivot, we doubled in as a company. Like, what had been a very brick and mortar sort of functioning business for the last 10 years, we were able to make a huge shift and use technology immensely well at a time when home deliveries became the biggest, most important thing for people to be able to engage with their employees. So we were able to crack that really well. And so that was our pivot. And that's something that I'm very proud of, because in 2021, while the world was struggling and people were losing jobs, we increased our manpower. We were about 40 during the pandemic, and by the next year, we were about 120 employees. So that's something that I would say I'm really, really proud of.
I'm sure, as you should be. I mean, this is a perfect example of how you convert a challenge into an opportunity, because you see the environment around you changes. And, sometimes, in fact, many times things are not in your control, but then how you convert all those threats into, opportunities. That is, I mean, I think the mark of an entrepreneur. Okay.
Right.
So tell me, in this journey of yours, I mean, of course, you've tried out various things, and now largely you're into this corporate gifting. So you must have faced challenges along the way. So could you just elaborate on some of them, and especially if you face challenges because of your gender?
The usual, challenges that come along with running a business, in terms of, we need to learn to be able to handle teams, to be able to understand how to go next. All of that, I think, is something that's a part of every business's journey. And specifically with me being a woman, like I said earlier, I come from a family where, my father was, my biggest cheerleader. Then comes my brother, and now my husband. So I've been very lucky to be surrounded with the kind of men who have never believed that, I'm any different or I cannot do something because of my gender. And my mother, my mother's sisters during the 70s were very independent women who worked in banks, who traveled on their own, who managed home as well as work life, who created assets for themselves, who, you know, so I think the way I look at things have never been from a, can I do it because I'm a girl? Are you going to do it because you're a guy perspective? And I think I've never used that as a, I've never used, I mean, I've never, said that I won't do it because I'm a girl. Sort of. So I
Okay.
think I don't operate much from that perspective. It's more of, I did this well yesterday. How better can I do it today?
Yeah.
It's more of like that. While I understand that, it's me and my personal journey, and I have been lucky enough to be in that place. But I think marginalizing of women and them being treated lesser than men, while it's definitely there in workplaces, I think it may, according to me, it may not be as widespread as it's probably made to be.
Okay. So, but in your
Yeah.
interactions with your clients or anything, you never faced that there was any kind of bias in their heads when they interacted with you. You never felt that?
No, I have never consciously felt that. But like I said, it probably even comes from a place of why I might be feeling this way is that I ran a business of my own before. I
Yeah.
was calling the shots. And now also I'm in a, I'm one of the senior members in the organization. So it probably comes from when I say this, right, it might be coming from a little bit of privilege that I have, that I've
Mhm.
been senior, so I haven't been in that place. So it's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And when I'm interacting with clients and vendors also, I'm representing uh, my company at a higher level or so, right? So
Mhm.
I haven't faced that way. It comes with, good interactions that I've had with both clients as well as vendors, where I've not felt that, I'm being treated differently because I am a woman. But like I said, it could be coming because of the fact that I've been operating as a leader in my own business.
Probably. Yeah.
So I'm not taking away from the fact that it definitely is present everywhere. But I'll tell you a funny, I'm not a funny instance. I'll tell you a story about what happened when I was riding, right? When I was running traveling circus, there were a lot of women who wanted to come and be part of riding, but they would have their parents wouldn't allow them, or their husband would be like, no, no, this is not for you. You come pillion with me, sort of.
Yeah.
So, and they also believe that, no, no, India is very unsafe. Okay, you go around Bangalore, but not all the way to Ladakh. Where is Ladakh? Like, you cannot go to
Hmm.
Ladakh, sort of, right? So what I did during that time, because I had traveled enough, and I know that, like, if I can, obviously anybody else can. There's
Hmm.
nothing to
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in order to prove that point, a friend of mine, a girl, and I decided that we would do a motorcycle trip from Kanyakumari to Leh. And just to make it a little fun and challenging, we kept ourselves a timeline that, we would do it in that much time, which was challenging, which was about in 5 days and change, without any backup, and just on two motorcycles, just two girls riding the entire length of the country. And we publicized this a lot, because I need, and I would go live from every place, from a most random dhaba on a highway,
Hmm.
and no women around, and taking breaks on a highway in Pench
Hmm.
Tiger Reserve, and all this to be able to put across the point that it's not it's an absolutely safe place for
Yeah.
women to be riding. And after which I heard a lot of women showed that as a video to their parents or husband, and said that I'd like to go too. Look, they've done this. They've
Yeah. Yeah.
um, they had a story to be able to uh, show and be able to break their barrier, as I'd like to call it.
So yeah, that is also another way of doing it. So when you like, you show and tell, right? You show and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
tell.
absolutely. I mean, there's no other way. There's no
Yeah.
other way. I think it has to be show and tell.
All right. So life has a way of teaching us lessons, bringing forth situations which we may not have faced before, or making us learn out of certain unpleasant or pleasant situations for that matter. So I'm sure
Yeah.
I mean, in your life also, you've picked up some tips, some lessons along the way. So would you like to share some of those with us?
Um, Yeah, I think one of my biggest lessons from traveling circus, no, would be that I'd heard a lot of people say that follow your passion and everything, and I think I got it wrong a little bit along the way. I decided that okay, this is my passion, and this is a good business opportunity, and let me dive into it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my biggest lessons, which I tell people now, is that just because you're passionate about something and you love doing it
Yeah.
need not necessarily mean that it will turn out to be a great business opportunity. You don't necessarily need to make your passion into your business.
Okay.
The idea of creating the business should come, you should be passionate about it, but that should not be your single, like in my case, biking was everything to me. So I went and created a business out of it, which need not necessarily be the way to create a business. The idea of creating a business should come from, market research, should come from understanding, who your audience are, how you're going to reach them, how is it going to work out monetarily, who you're going to need for it, and an actual business plan.
Hmm.
While I'm not taking away from anybody who has managed to work by converting their biggest passion into their business, if it's working for them, that's great, but that need not be the deciding factor on which direction or in which industry you want to create a business. I love coffee, so I'm going to create a coffee brand. That's probably not the correct way to go about it.
Hmm.
So that would be one of my biggest lessons, because that's something that because after that I was bitter towards motorbiking for a while, because I went down. I had not seen defeat to that extent as a child, or throughout my college. Also, the way I did in the real world when I was at the end of traveling circus, right?
Uh-huh.
So I was bitter about it, and I realized that had I not gone and tried to create a financial business model out of my biggest passion,
Hmm.
I would have continued to love it as much.
Hmm.
So now that I don't run it, now I have no pressures. I do it for my joy. I do it for my happiness, and that's now come back to becoming one of the things that I love the most again.
Okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
great, actually.
So that
A lot of people are told that to do something in life, to be successful, you first have to know what you are passionate about. But you're right, your passion
yeah,
may not be a good business idea, because when you actually put it into
yeah.
business, when it comes into facts and figures and all of that, it may not turn out to be the way you want it to. That's huge.
Absolutely. But just to reiterate that whatever you're doing, you need to be passionate about whatever the work it is that you're doing. Like I love, would I say that I love t-shirts and mugs with products? I love carrying products which have my name or my company's name, etc. But my passion in this business comes from me, loving the impact that we're having. I know that 20, 30, 40 thousands of people receive our gifts every day, and it makes their day, and they tweet about it, they talk highly. We're helping organizations create brand ambassadors,
Hmm.
and whatever their problems in choosing gifts to make their employees day wonderful, or mark milestones really well for their employees in a large organization, right? How we are solving problems, that's what I'm passionate about. So solving the problem, so people get the idea wrong a few times, and that's what I wanted to, it need not be that product that you love the most that you don't need to go and create a brand out of, or a business out of.
Hmm. Great.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think clarity in your thought is critical.
absolutely.
Yeah, that is
Absolutely.
something that you need to be very, very
Correct.
clear about. So,
Correct.
any future plans? I mean, where do you see yourself 10 years from now, doing this or something else?
Um, so I think Offer Needs is everything right now.
Okay.
For me, we are on the cusp of creating that portal that I mentioned to you,
Yeah, yeah.
which will enable, organizations, irrespective of how many employees they have, what their MOQs are, irrespective of which town, village, or far-flung location across the country they are at, they will be able to, on our portal, come out there, put up their logo, and voila, their products are going to be delivered to their homes, or to their employees' homes, or to their customers' homes. So it's that's the technology that we're working on. It's it is going to take a few. We're just about to, the beta launch is just about to happen, and I think in a year from now we should be in good shape with that. looking at scaling this and helping people anywhere across, helping organizations, irrespective of their size, anywhere in the country to be able to, create brand ambassadors out of merchandise. Because I think merchandise, corporate gifting company industry, like I mentioned, Sangeeta, is so vast, but it's so unorganized. So we want to be the ones, which we are on the way to doing, bring semblance to the chaos that exists and make it available for any organization that needs merchandise, because that's the only way to create tangibility out of a brand.
That's great.
So
Bring
that's
it
the future plan.
Chaos. Yes.
Yes.
That is,
yes,
there is so
absolutely
much chaos everywhere. And I think if, some of us could get together and try to streamline things, that would really help. All right.
Yes.
So of course, you're working and you have a career and, family life and all of that. But along the way, we're always looking, to develop ourselves personally, our personalities, maybe by reading or listening or, adopting practices. So do you have any particular books or podcasts or maybe some, self-improvement practices that you think have impacted your life and which could help others as well?
Oh yes, I think I would believe I'm a very disciplined person. I'm into daily journaling, which I think is an amazing part of my life, and it helps me create semblance to every single day, week, and month. I've undergone multiple types of personal coaching and mentorship, and at any point of time, I usually have a mentor or a coach with who I'm working. Currently, I'm working with a coach for the last 6 months, and I have weekly calls and monthly plans. I follow the concept of vision board and reading out mission statements and doing my daily journaling. So that's some of the practices that I follow on a daily basis. Books, I've always been, fairly voracious reader, not very, but I'll have some book that's going on at any point of time. My latest and my most favorite ones that have made a big impact for me are The Goal by Elijah Goldratt. That's been a book on operational efficiency, written very, very beautifully without using jargon and, very simplified, very simple language that book has been written in. And I love that book. It's helped me implement a lot of things on our shop floor in my business. So that's one from this year. And the one I'm reading currently, I'm listening to an audiobook called The Psychology of Money.
Oh yes,
I'm loving it. It's a stunning book. I think I'll need to read it 2-3 times for it to actually go in deeper for me. Yeah. And the other book that I'm reading is The Hard Thing About Hard Things. So I'm just about started that. It's looking very, very interesting. It talks about not the, just to give you a gist, it doesn't talk about, philosophies and principles, but the smaller things that nobody mentions when you're running a business or when you're at a managerial level, about the human interactions and the, small little issues that nobody really tries to solve, but they exist, and they are the ones that people usually struggle the most with.
Yes, that's right. Because I think the big things everybody talks about, you can read about them, hear about them, but the small little nitty-gritties are the ones that actually make a huge, that small irritant in your eye. You get a speck of dust in the eye, that can be a major irritant in your life. So yes, like that, I think.
Yeah, it's not big enough for you to go to the doctor, but it's bothering you.
It is bothering you, absolutely. Great. Yeah, Psychology of Money, I've also read it. And in fact, you're right, you need to read it 2-3 times before it actually registers, because there is so much to be out of that book.
Absolutely.
So, so I've reviewed it. Actually, I do book reviews, so I've reviewed that on my e-magazine. But yes, I found that to be very interesting.
Oh, lovely. I'll check that out. Awesome.
All right. Tell me, of course, we've come a long way in terms of women making an impact and doing things that they want to do, making a name for themselves and all of that. But how do people react to women who are successful? How does the world react? And here I'm talking about both men and women. Say you are at a social gathering and you say, okay, I'm doing this and, I'm run this business, or I'm the CEO of this company. So basically an impactful position. So how do people react to that?
I think 95% of the time it's always a good, they're happy to, be interacting with you. I think there's a small percentage of particularly men who might be intimidated. by what you're doing, and by your presence, maybe by your presence sometimes, that okay, like they don't know, they get a little awkward around you, sort of. But that's a very, very small percentage that I've only observed in business.
Okay.
But not really something that I would be very worried about. And in the motorcycling thing, that when I was running, just to go back, because that's a field where it's very, very male dominated, right?
Yeah.
Women businesses are still getting a little more, I mean, at least in the big cities, and when you go to conferences, there is a good number of women. But in motorcycling, I would say they're worried. But I got the nicest people who would always try to help. So like I said, Sangeeta, it's probably just the way I look at it, right?
Probably.
When a guy comes and helps me on the road when I have a puncture, if I look at it and be like, hey, you're helping me because you think I'm a woman and I can't do it on my own, then that's one way to look at it. Or be like, hey, what a gentleman. He came and tried to help. Let's take help. I mean, we are social beings. How do we survive without helping each other anyway, right? So I've met the nicest of people who've offered to ride my bike sometimes, who've helped me with a puncture or anything. And I don't see it as them being intimidated by me, but just them trying to help a girl, which is
Perspective. So, like you said, it's the perspective and how you look at things. And, very interesting. I read somewhere that an intelligent woman, it's, very good to interact with her, and she, fuels your imagination, your thinking process, your intellectual process. But if you get her home, then it becomes a problem, because then you have to be, it's not only interaction, it is more than that. So, I guess you get
nice one.
but yeah. All right. So tell me something. We're all aspiring. I mean, women, we're trying to kind of make a place, a name for ourselves everywhere. So, you think a woman can truly have it all?
Yeah. So when you say that, like what, balance, be everywhere, be great at everything that they do?
Not maybe great, but what I meant was that you can basically do and get what you want. I
Oh,
may want
absolutely.
multiple things, like we're juggling so many roles, trying to do so many things at a
Correct.
time. So, is it possible to do it all and to get it all in that respect? Because I don't think men have those many challenges, because they, honestly speaking, don't have as many responsibilities as we do. I mean, still, we are in a
Correct.
society where there is a lot on our plate. So,
Correct.
are we able to? Can we do it all? If that
Yeah,
is.
I think we can, while it's no cakewalk, as in
Yeah.
while it doesn't come very easy, that so many responsibilities, juggling so many roles, like you mentioned, while it doesn't come easy, I think a little bit of planning, not being overwhelmed by things, and taking each day as it comes, but having a very clear idea about where we. I'll tell you what works really well for me, because of which I take ample holidays, and I do everything that I want to do. I attend music classes every week. I attend coaching sessions. I work. I party. I go out for dinners. I have a bunch of friends. I spend a lot of time with my family, with my husband,
Mhm.
and I take ample holidays. All of it is because I'm very clear about what I want, and anything that doesn't align with that, I'm able to say no to. Or
Yes.
I know which are things that are important and find a way to be able to delegate them, and not necessarily take everything on my head and say, no, 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 I only have to do it because nobody else can do it better than me. And not be bogged down by a guilt of, uh, you know, the minute I spend more time on one thing, then I feel that I'm not giving somebody else uh, enough time. And then the minute I spend more time with a friend, then feel that, oh, my business is suffering because.
Yeah.
So to be able to rid myself of that guilt, I think it's very clear what I want from each of the things that I want. I
Yeah.
think that helps create perspective. Otherwise, it's very easy for us to get dragged into 100 things which are not even our, which weren't necessarily our,
Yeah.
area of interest, or we have to do it, sort of thing, right? So
Yeah.
I think a good amount of planning and knowing what you want to eventually achieve helps not get overwhelmed by so many things coming onto it. It's very simple to then be able to say, I will do this, I will not do this, because it doesn't align with uh, where I see myself 5 years from now. Uh,
That is
yeah,
so.
so just with that planning.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No. So I'm saying that you've said a lot in these words because, first of all, that clarity of thought, this is what I can and this is what I can't do. And then to be able to communicate that, because I think a lot of women are guilty of trying to do everything and in the best possible way.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
why should you want to be perfect at everything? You'll end up doing nothing. And why do you want to do everything? So delegate, reach out, ask for help, because you are not superhuman.
Absolutely.
Try to be superhumans. And also, I think prioritizing, knowing when to do what, that I think is very important. And yes, the ability to say no.
Correct. That's I think one of the most important but most underrated questions.
Because somewhere I think, we are conditioned to believe that we can't say no.
Correct.
That
it's
is
like
that is
it is like how if I say no, they might feel bad. There's always a guilt of letting someone down because of who you are, and as a result of that, have our hands in 100 different places, and eventually maybe not even feel good about it because we're not able to do justice to all those places. So I think it's important to pick and choose, and then say, no, this is who I am. It's a little bit easier said than done, but I think that's something that is the need of the hour for all of us, to say no to a lot of things, and then the remaining few things that we're doing, we can do great at.
Yes. So there was this woman I spoke to, and she said, I'd rather say no to others than to myself, than saying no to my peace of mind and happiness. Correct. Which I think is so true.
It's so true, no? It's so true, but so rarely done. Especially by women.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, they put everyone else. We put everyone else before us because I'll handle myself. But so I think that needs to be normalized. That it doesn't need to be done. You don't have to carry the whole world. It's okay.
It's okay. Actually, that's true.
Yeah.
So Shubra, any final words of advice or inspiration for our listeners? I mean, budding entrepreneurs, leaders, I mean, anything that you would like to say, especially to the young girls of today?
To the young girls of today, it would be to prioritize their education over anything else, and to do whatever it takes to be financially independent. If you're able to complete an education and be able to earn for yourself, I think the kind of freedom, confidence, and the ability to say no, so many other things come with just with education and being able to be financially independent. With that come a lot of things, and with that the guilt reduces. Otherwise you're like, okay, no, how can I say, because he's doing this for me?
Yes.
So that I think I cannot stress enough on people completing their education, getting till a bachelor's degree and finding a job, whatever it is, and consistently being at it, and not taking a backseat the minute no rishta gya types is something that I would urge for women in particular. And I think for people in general would be discipline and perseverance. I think that's, I have strayed myself in my younger days, and I went way far from what my goals were and everything. And the only thing, there's no magic to success. If anybody says that you do this, by tomorrow you'll be a millionaire, it's a scam.
It is.
It doesn't exist, and the only way to work towards that is to be extremely disciplined, to show self control where needed, and to be perseverant. I think in whatever it is that we're doing, whether we are running a business or whether we are going to work and doing a job, to do it with passion and diligence, that I think is something that I cannot stress enough on. There's no replacement to it. There's nothing else that you can do instead of this.
Absolutely.
Discipline, that would be my word of advice.
So I like
absolutely
yes, reading somewhere that, if you're not disciplined in one area of your life, you're not disciplined anywhere, because discipline is like a habit. Either you are or
Correct.
you aren't. So yes, I
Yeah.
think young people especially need to know that, when we tell them to be disciplined, it's not just for simply the joy of saying the word, but because it
Yeah.
actually means, and it will hold them in
Correct.
stead in, years to come. All right.
Correct. And, like you said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So
Yes.
if you are, you cannot say that, no, I'm just doing it like this now, but at work I will be fine. It doesn't work that way.
Doesn't.
Like how you are from the time you wake up to who you are with your closest circle of friends is exactly who you are at work, with your spouse, with anybody else. Otherwise, it's a lie.
Yes.
So it's important to inculcate that. And I want to say that there is nothing cool about saying, no, I get up at, this is just an example, but in making it sound cool, I see a lot of children say that, oh no, I sleep at 3 and I get up at 11. I don't.
Yeah.
It should not be normalized. I think that it's sounding cool, and I'm too cool for the world and all that, because when it hits, when you're actually out there in the real world after finishing education and and coming out of the safe net of the of your parents, then it becomes a very rude shocker.
Yes. Yes.
So
yeah, it's
yeah,
not cool at all.
it's not cool at all. It should be told that being
Yes.
highly indisciplined should not be celebrated.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
So that's it. Shubra,
That's
thank
it.
you so much for being on the show. I mean, you've added so many insights and, different ways of thinking. Like, I talk to so many women, and I find that at the core, we are all connected, because we are all basically
Absolutely.
performing the same functions, doing the same things, but we have our own ways of, finding solutions to problems, finding our ways, through the various situations of life. And it's a huge learning each time I speak to a woman achiever, because you're doing, I mean, the regular mundane is happening, but along with that, you're doing so many other things. So truly, it was lovely having
Right.
you on the show, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved being on the show. Thank you so much, Sangeeta. And I think what you're doing is amazing, because it takes one woman to hear another woman to believe a little more in themselves each day. So thank you so much for finding and talking to so many women, and it gives us an amazing perspective from another woman's point of view.
Oh, it was great. And I enjoy this interaction, because I think only a woman can understand another woman, no matter what
Correct.
people may say, but only we can understand each other. So it's time we kind of decided to be with each other. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.